Yeah, you guys think jumping into a chair is the only quirky thing I know how to do? You've only seen the parts of me that I've shown you. Speaking of seeing things, I went and saw Pantera this last weekend, and it was a grand old time. Here, I'll show you guys as much of what I filmed as I can before I get demonetized. Got to see my OG guitar hero, Zakk Wylde, absolutely slay ass. The other day I saw someone say Zakk Wylde's tone sucks now, and I can confirm that whatever poor soul said that does not have properly functioning listeners. Bro sounded massive. Everyone always talks about Dimebag Darrell's solos, which is valid, but nobody ever talks about his riffs. They hit harder than my stepdad. Even in E standard, dude could write riffs so heavy that they made black holes jealous. Evening lesbians, Den Den here. And a couple months ago I made a silly little video called The Many Reasons Younger Guitarists Aren't Playing Les Pauls. And for some reason that quickly became the most viewed long form video in the history of my channel. So thank you for that, genuinely, that's crazy. I'm still regularly getting comments on that bit. Now I haven't read every single one of them because there's literally thousands of comments, which is wild. Plus guitar players do this funny thing to where everyone thinks they know more than everyone else, so they talk to you like you're a baby, and I can only handle so much of that. However, it is really funny when they talk to you like that and they are completely wrong. Like they will just confidently say shit like, they're called humbuckers because they have feedback. I had one the other day on TikTok. Some guy was like, actually System of a Down only plays in D standard. Oh yeah, follow me on TikTok and on Instagram at Den Den Riffs. Those are like my other guitar only social medias. You could also follow my Den Den BMX Instagram. I got a couple. Shameless plug. However, while I haven't seen every single comment, I do scroll through that comment section every now and then. And I wanted to address some of the most commonly said things I saw in those comments. Because while I mostly agreed with you guys about pricing, quality control, and Gibson's overall stinky behavior, I know guys, trust me. I know. It seems like there's a few misconceptions out there about good old Leslie Paulson. You know, one of the most common things I saw people saying was that Gibson is the Harley Davidson of the guitar world. And I just find it really funny how astonishingly accurate that is. But easily the most common comment I saw were that Les Pauls are too expensive. Yeah, shocker, I know. People were saying that like it wasn't the first thing I talked about in the video. What other bombs are you guys gonna drop next? The sky is blue, my dog only has one eye, space is gay. I saw a lot of people saying that they would love to have a Les Paul, but they can't or won't justify the price on them. And you know what? That's completely fair. Fuck these greedy ass corporations, I'm right there with you. However, it seemed like quite a few people were under the impression that every Les Paul, or single cut, whatever, is too expensive. And that is not entirely true at all, actually. I mean, it is very true that Gibson Les Pauls are comically overpriced, especially compared to what you can get from other brands nowadays for far less. And Epiphone is currently trying its hardest to price itself out of that budget range, because fuck the poors, I guess. However, those are just the Les Pauls those two dorks are selling brand new. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. There's this magical place out there where all your dreams can come true. Well, I mean, not all of them. I mean, it's not gonna grow your hair back, make you hung like a train, or compel your kids to start talking to you again. But you just might be able to get that dream Les Paul of yours without having to eat nothing but ramen noodles for the next 8 months. And this beautiful place is called the Used Market. I don't know why literally no one commented this in the video. I was kind of expecting at least one person to say it because they've mentioned it in my other videos. Does it really have to be a brand new guitar? Are you one of those weirdos that will only date a girl if she's a virgin? You can get some absolutely bonkers deals on Les Pauls when you go the used route. If you look on Reverb right now, you can get older generation Epiphone Les Paul standards and customs for like $300-400. Yeah, I know, your jaw just dropped onto your balls at terminal velocity. What? Those old Epiphone Les Paul standard plus top pros and custom pros are a mouthful, but they're usually built just as good as what Epiphone is making today. And when it comes to like the newer Kalamazoo headstock Epiphones, like the standard 50s, 60s, and the custom, I saw used ones going on Reverb for like $400-500. It's insane. The Kalamazoo headstock Epiphone 1959 reissues, the ones that come with the Gibson burstbuckers, I saw a shitload of those on Reverb for like $500. Those were $900 brand new. Used, the IBGC open book headstock Epiphones are usually going for under or right around $1,000, which is what those should be going for brand new. So if you want to get an IBGC open book headstock Epiphone, I would highly recommend buying used. And when it comes to Gibsons, there are pages on pages of used Gibson Les Paul studios and tributes going for like $900, $800, $700. You can still get a Gibson Les Paul for under $1,000. They might be one of the bare bones ones, but they're still Gibson Les Pauls. And those old studios from like the 2000s and the 2010s fucking rip. You can find used Gibson Les Paul classics and traditionals for $1,400. $1,500, $1,600. Traditionals are literally just normal Les Paul standards for $1,500. But that's just Gibson and Epiphone. There is a metric dickload of other brands making their own single cuts for far less than Gibson. And most of them have already discovered what this thing called quality control is. I gotta stop. It's just mean at this point. I would highly recommend checking out LTD's EC series, which is based off of the ESP Eclipse, which is based off of the Gibson Les Paul. Everything is Inception. LTD is like the one brand I will shamelessly glaze into the stars because they deserve it. I also got a lot of comments saying Les Pauls are too heavy, too thick, too clunky, and the necks are too big. And yeah, you're right, Gibson Les Paul purists will throw a hissy fit if Gibson doesn't make their guitars weigh as much as a cruise ship, and if they don't come with a neck so thick that a Bella Danger does a double take looking at it. But that's exactly why I'm trying to get you guys on this LTD train, because LTD's ECs usually come with thinner bodies. You can get full thickness sized ones too, but the standard for LTD's ECs is like half the thickness of a Gibson body. They also come with belly cuts, are usually way lighter, and 99.9% of them are gonna come with LTD's perfect thin U-neck shape. I need my phone for this one. You could get an LTD EC200DX, an EC201FT, or an EC256 brand new for $400 to $500. Yeah, hands down the worst part about LTD is their naming convention, but even then it's not that bad. Like, you can learn it, it's pretty intuitive, it's a little intimidating at first. It's not like Ibanez's naming scheme where they look like a VIN number. And even those cheaper LTD ECs are going to absolutely smoke an equally priced Epiphone. You could even go the used route and get those cheaper level ECs for like $300, $350. And they fuck like a truck, guys. I'm serious, it's crazy. I have literally never played a bad LTD. Now, LTD's flagship single cut is the EC1000, and those usually retail for anywhere from $1,300 to $1,600, I think. Maybe it's a little lower, maybe it's a little higher. But used? You can find LTD EC1000s for as low as $500. It's actually atrocious how much of a steal you can get a used LTD EC1000 for. And they are sick guitars. They come with great aftermarket parts, they come with locking tuners, they all have great upper fret access that's way better than Gibson's. And if you get an EC1000 that was made after 2021, it should come with stainless steel frets as well. Like, I literally could not recommend LTD's EC line enough, especially the EC1000. But even those more affordable options are fantastic choices as well. I don't think you guys get it. Harley Benton and Firefly are also good choices. Those are easily going to be the most affordable options if you're buying new. Harley Benton and Firefly are kind of weird to where the used ones are usually more expensive than buying new. It's weird. But Harley Benton and Firefly are both eerily similar to Gibson in the way that it's a bit of a gamble when you buy from them. You may get a shockingly good guitar. You also might get an absolute fart. But at least with Harley Benton and Firefly, you're only risking what, like $300 instead of $3,000? Gibson and Epiphone's pricing is definitely a big factor that's turning people away from buying a Les Paul. But contrary to popular belief, you don't actually have to shell out $3,000 to get yourself a Les Paul. Look on Reverb, Music Around, Guitar Center Used, Sweetwater's Gear Exchange. You just might find the Les Paul of your dreams at a price that will make you queef in disbelief. Now, I'm pretty proud of that one. Queef in disbelief. That could be the hook of a song. Yeah, I can rap. I got bars. Another thing I wanted to address is in that video, I really grilled Gibson for refusing to modernize any of their guitars and staying stuck relentlessly huffing member berries from the 50s. And I saw quite a few people saying that every time Gibson did try to modernize their guitars, people revolted. Like there were riots in the streets, cities burned to the ground, it was bad. And yeah, it's true. Gibson people will shit their entire pants over the dumbest things you can imagine. They got mad when Gibson finally eased up on their headstock angle, which was an objectively smart decision, but a bunch of grandpas were seething over that for some reason, so now the Gibson headstock angle is back to being 90 degrees. It's very true that if Gibson tries to change literally anything about the Les Paul, their fanboys will have a full-blown aneurysm. But can we not pretend that any of Gibson's attempts at being modern were good? When Gibson tries to go modern, they do it in the weirdest way possible. I became obsessed with Gibson right around the time they released the Darkfire Les Paul, if you can remember that poor creature. And it came with those robo-tuners that are infamous for being an absolute joke. But they weren't a joke because of the concept. They were a joke because they barely worked half the time. Some of them did work okay, but most of them kinda sucked. Which is pretty on brand for Gibson if we're being honest. I gotta stop. I really gotta stop. It's just bullying at this point. Did you guys know that there's a video out there of like a press release party that Gibson did for the Darkfire? And Steel Panther was a big part of that press release party for some reason. After you're done with this video, just look up Gibson Darkfire Steel Panther. You should be able to find it. It is everything you think it's gonna be. But right after Gibson went bankrupt, they tried getting all modern again. And they did it by adding essentially a bunch of bloatware to the Les Paul Standard. They didn't call it like a Les Paul Modern or anything either. They took the Les Paul Standard, they only offered it in Blueberry Burst and this really pale like seafoam green, and they gave it 4 push-pull pots that were fully customizable with a bunch of dip switches that were located in the control cavity. They were trying to make a Les Paul that could sound like literally any other guitar imaginable besides a Les Paul. I think they said you could get like 500 different tone variations out of that thing. And that's too much. That is just too much. Talk about option paralysis, Jesus Christ. You could find a tone you like and then you could lose it forever because you forgot which configuration it was out of the potential 500. And then they called that the Les Paul Standard for 2019. Oh, and it was also $3,400, which might have also contributed to the backlash a little bit. And now the current Les Paul Modern isn't really even that modern. It doesn't have stainless steel frets, it doesn't have aftermarket pickups, it doesn't have a longer scale length for modern day music. The upper fret access is marginally improved by that tiny little sliver they cut out of the giant block joint. At least they come with locking tuners and now come in really cool finishes with flame tops. They used to just come in like opaque Tesla colors, and my god did they look boring. So yeah, while Gibson has tried to be modern in the past, they've always done it in the goofiest way imaginable. So it wasn't just because Gibson meat riders are a bunch of babies about tradition. And the last thing I want to touch on is there were a lot of people saying that Les Pauls were only for blues and dad rock. Like, they weren't saying you can't physically play metal on them. They were saying you shouldn't play metal on them. For some reason, like a culture thing, I guess. Why are rich white dudes always trying to segregate shit? Why do people get into hobbies like guitar, or freestyle BMX, or balisong flipping, or just, you know, art? A hobby that inherently doesn't have any rules, and is all about freedom and creativity and self-expression. Why do people get into hobbies like that and then start coming up with all these weird made-up rules that people just have to follow or else they get ostracized by the cool kids? You guys can respectfully suck it from the back. I might make a full video about this because I've experienced this weird-ass phenomenon in literally every hobby that I've featured on this YouTube channel. There ain't no rules here. Stop trying to make goofy ones that you just expect people to follow, Buzz Killington. People can and should play metal on their Les Pauls. You know why? Because they are fantastique riffing machines. It's not my fault that you can only play dad rock and blues. I even played a nice bluesy solo in this video, but I played it on my guitar that has EMGs and I used a high gain tone, because fuck your rules. Fed, go play soccer and join the military if you want rules. Nerd. But that is going to wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for listening to me yap, especially if you made it to the end of this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. As always, make sure you go down there and leave a comment. I love to hear what you guys have to say. Smack the bajonkles out of that like button. Share the video around. If you regularly watch my videos and you haven't already subscribed, you're mean? Just subscribe. It's not that hard. Big shout out and a thank you to Touch of Hope, Julio Moreda, Big Tills, Master Chief, Scott Toman, Leagues Beneath, Jan Chocolate, Bandage Knives, Brandon's Balisong Corner, Bad Joke Guitars, Rob Heath, Solar Flare, Horse Running, and Cosmic Steez. I'm starting to run out of breath saying that list. These honeys are my current channel members and their support really does mean a lot. If you want to join them, get a shout out in my longer videos, get access to the members only videos, and just help support this channel in a bigger way, then you can go down there, click the join button. Tiers start as low as 3 schmeckles. There's also the super thanks button down there if you just want to give me some money. But I'm done being a tool. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.